Okay, Mia, you know the drill. Tell me your name and what you had for breakfast this morning, please.
I had my standard breakfast. Oh, my name is Mia, and I had my standard breakfast for breakfast.
Which is?
Oatmeal with sunflower seeds, applesauce, and milk. And then I sneaked in a small piece of knäckebröd with butter on it as well.
Nice. Okay, stand by. On the Wind is presented this season by two old friends of the podcast, Rutgerson Marine, a hardware company in Sweden, close to home for me, and OPO, Offshore Passage Opportunities, run by our good friend Hank Schmidt, fan of the podcast, friend of the podcast, former guest of the podcast, which is a place where you can join Hank's mailing list and basically sail for free as a crew member on various deliveries that Hank organizes. It's a great way. I kind of started my career doing deliveries, and obviously we'd love for you to come sail with us at 59 North, but if you don't have the time or can't afford it, you can pay, I think it's up to $150 a year now to join OPO, and you get lots of opportunities to go on deliveries as a crew member. So check that out. That's sailopo.com. As for Rutgerson, I am in the process of ordering a new rig for Spica, a new rig and sails. And part of that project is going to include installing a bunch of Rutgerson stuff on the mast and sails. So we use the Rutgerson bat car receptacles for the sails. We use Rutgerson clutches for the mast and a bunch of other hardware items. A good friend of ours, Ludwig, is the designer at Rutgerson. So it's really cool to basically have access to that. And unlike most other hardware companies, everything at Rutgerson is designed and built in Sweden. Ludwig's office is upstairs at the factory, and the factory is downstairs. So when there's like a design question, Ludwig walks downstairs to the production floor and they can sort stuff out. It's really cool. We've had a lot of fun using Rutgerson stuff over the years. They make really high quality stuff. And I highly recommend it. So check out Rutgerson Marine. That's Marin. There's no E on that. RutgersonMarine.se to see all that stuff. And I'm sure next time you go to your local chandlery, look around and see what the Rutgerson stuff that you can find there, because it's quite ubiquitous, really high quality, and a very cool story. Those of us in the U.S. know more about Harkin. Harkin's kind of a ubiquitous sailing brand. Well, Peter Harkin and Göran Rutgerson were buddies back in the 70s and kind of started these hardware companies on a similar sort of timeline. And there's a really cool little story there. There's an ice boat hanging up in the factory in Sweden that has the Harkin and Rutgerson logos on it because they were doing that kind of stuff together back in the day. So really cool story. I love working with these small family companies, as you know, and I hope you'll buy their products to support them because they support the podcast. Again, that's sailopo.com. Check out Hank Schmidt's Offshore Passage Opportunities, and that's rutgersonmarine.se. Thanks again to both of them for sponsoring this episode of the show. Ahoy, shipmates. Welcome back to On the Wind. I'm Andy, recording from the new house. It's a bright sunny day in March. This is the last episode of this season of On the Wind, episode 10 weeks in a row. We are going to take a break, but there will be a podcast next week. It's going to be the Quarterdeck podcast, so check that out. August and I are recording a back-to-back. It's going to be two different episodes, but we're recording it live tomorrow actually today, if you're listening to this live. It probably will have already happened, actually, but we're recording two boat shopping episodes. Backed by popular demand, we basically run through listings that members on the Quarterdeck send us of boats they're interested in, and we try and pick them apart and read through the broker speak language of them. We're going to be doing a lot of these this year. They're super fun, really valuable, and it's a great way to interact with the members on the Quarterdeck. And basically, once we run this episode, they'll be done live on YouTube. Then the video will be available on the Quarterdeck, and then the podcast, the audio only, will come out on the podcast. So it's going to be fun. We're doing some more stuff like this, but the boat shopping is we're starting shortly. It's going to be next week's episode. If you subscribe to the Quarterdeck podcast, and if you're a member, you can contribute to the conversation on the Quarterdeck. Go to quarterdeck.59-north.com. August and I love doing these boat reviews. It's really fun. In other news, I'm headed to Annapolis in a few weeks. I'm doing my Celestial Nav workshop. There's still a couple spaces open if you want to do that. Go to 59-north.com/celestial. It's going to be super fun. 2 days plus a couple nights to hang out. It's going to be at J World in Eastport, right downtown. A lot of fun, me and some friends and some other people involved. So check that out, and I hope you can join me there. Last but not least, we've had a couple last-minute cancellations on some of the Pacific routes on Falcon. And Eastbjorn's season is about to start up. So check out all the open bunks we have on 59-north.com/bunks. This is the annual year-end review that is only 3 months late that Mia and I like to do. And it's a reflection on last year and a glimpse to the future. And I hope you enjoy this episode as much as Mia and I enjoyed recording it. So come on, this is kind of a fly on the wall from in our office. Mia and I were face to face sitting in the house talking about everything that happened in our lives and in 59 North last year. Okay, here we go. You're listening to On the Wind, my podcast about offshore sailing. I'm your host, Andy Schell. Mia and I sit down in the new Mission Control to review the year that was 2025. And we're only 3 months late in doing it. Each year, Mia and I like to record a podcast in which we reflect on the past year and share some stories. So much happens over the course of a year with us and 59 North that it's tough to keep track of it all in the moment. You'll be shocked at some of the stats we come up with in this episode. I was. So grab a coffee or a beer, depending on what time zone you're listening to this in, and join Mia and I in reflecting on last year. All right, Mia, I'm just organizing some stats here we'll come to later, but just to put you to the test here, how many total passages do you think we sailed in 2025?
Ooh, should I do a quick one or should I actually try to count?
However you want to do it.
15, 25, 27, probably 30.
Are you looking at my screen?
No, I don't have my glasses on. No.
We did exactly 30 passages last year. You're too good at this game. It's no fun. Okay. How many miles do you think we sailed last year between all the boats and the racing and everything?
Oh, that's harder. Maybe 40? Is that too optimistic?
40 what?
1,000.
That's too optimistic. I don't know, optimistic. It's too many.
That's what I thought.
So, how many do you think we sailed?
32.
30,829.
Between all boats?
Yep.
Wow. That's
in one
impressive.
season.
Wow.
That I think is probably a record.
Yeah.
I need to go back and look at this some more. We'll parse some
How
data
much on
here while
Falcon
I'm doing
alone
it.
then?
So I need to do more data here. Hang on a second. Okay, you asked how many miles Falcon had done, and I actually need to make a correction now because the total miles, we were missing one passage in here. The total miles we sailed in 2025 across all the boats. Hang on, now I can't find my right screen. This is great audio. Here we go. Total miles between all the boats last year was 31,479.
That's impressive.
That's a lot of miles.
That's a lot of miles.
And I like I said before, I think that's going to be a record because we had more things going on last year than probably ever. We had Falcon, Eastbjorn. We had Adrienne did 2 trips last year.
And 2 Atlantic crossing, not just trips.
We had Spica, and then we had 2 races last year as well.
I don't think Spike added that many numbers.
Do you know how many miles Spica sailed last year?
Like on the passage?
It was a week-long cruising trip in the archipelago. How many miles did we cover?
Probably like less than 100.
94. So that's not really helping to the bottom line. But here,
the point with Spike is not to do offshore long-distance sailing. It's about exploring the archipelago.
That's correct. So how many, let's see here if I have a number of crew. I got to look that up a different way. How many miles do you think Falcon has sailed? Because she does the most miles out of any boat.
Probably 21 then.
18,404.
Wow.
Probably the single biggest year. I mean, definitely the single biggest year for any of the boats that we've had. How many do you think Eastbjorn has done?
I mean, if Falcon did 18, I would think Eastbjorn did maybe 6.
Close, 5,374. And I should say, like, so I'm looking at our Airtable view. We log this. Every time a boat gets done a trip, we do the skipper and mate debrief. And one of those debrief questions is how many miles have you sailed and how many days were you at sea? And then Adam puts that in our database. So I have, going back to the very first trip we ever did, I have data for every trip we've ever done. Plus, it's also logged on the tracker site. So this is pretty cool. Like, we have now 11 years worth of data in Airtable that I can play around with, which is super fun. So this is real numbers we've actually sailed, not just the roam line distances.
That's cool.
Eastbjorn did, like I said, 5,374. Racing, this should be easier for you to guess.
That should be probably close to like 1,100.
Yeah, it's 1,250.
Oh, I was going to say 1,200.
Close. Spica did 94. Adrienne did 2 Atlantic crossings.
She
That's
must have
the
done over
Overlandsen boat.
6,000.
6,357, including that transatlantic via Brazil for the Atlantic crossing.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
So it's a lot.
So I would say that Adrienne wins the stats of like most miles per passage.
That's definitely true. I haven't parsed all that data, so let's not go too far down this rabbit hole. But here's another question for you.
Yeah, welcome to the 59 North me and Andy stats for the year.com.
What do you think our average miles per day sailed across all the boats and all the trips?
Well, Spike is not going to up that one.
No? Eastbjorn brings that down a little bit too because she's doing lesser sort of nonstop trips.
Yeah, and also when you're doing sail training trips, it's not about the amount of miles, it's more about...
So to give you an idea, so average miles per day, what do you think it was?
I would say maybe 100.
146.
That's more than I thought. I guess most of it is long passages and less passages are offshore.
And what would you say our average speed over ground is across all boats, all trips? 6.1.
Ooh.
That is correct. Here's a good question.
Here's a question.
Here's a question. How many days at sea did our boats spend last year? Like days, that's moving, not time at the dock. That's days moving.
So that
or at anchor if you're out cruising. No, this is just days underway. This is just days spent moving.
So when we log this in Airtable, we actually just talking about like the days the boat is moving. So when he hits the dock or the anchor, it's not counting.
Correct, because I'm trying to use these formulas then to calculate based on, we put in the number of miles, we put in the days with decimal days, and it calculates what I just told you, the miles per day and the speed over ground. So this is just time underway. How many days underway did our boats spend last year?
This is harder for me to guess.
This is surprising to me, actually. I wouldn't have guessed this.
Shit. Oh, excuse me.
Shit is not a swear word in Sweden, is it?
Not really. I would say I'm probably going to be way off. 150.
201.
Man, I was going to say 200. Damn.
Well, you didn't say 200. 201
wow.
days at sea our boats have spent last year. What was the longest passage?
Days or?
Days, and then which
18
trip?
days and 3 hours.
These are decimal days, not hours.
So 18 days and 18.2.
Incorrect. The longest trip was 17.8 days.
Okay, but pretty close.
Which trip do you think it was?
I think that was that could have been Adrienne, Brazil.
Correct. That is a good guess. Adrienne, Brazil, transatlantic. That was also the longest mileage trip, 3,206 miles. Adrienne has the top two last year. 17 and a half days on the transatlantic from St. Martin, and that was 3,151 miles. I mean, it makes sense. They're going against the wind.
Yeah, and we did an Atlantic crossing the other way, and that was a little bit faster, I would think.
So you guys
16,
did
17?
Las Palmas to Antigua was 3,046 miles, so over 100 miles shorter than Adrienne's reverse transatlantic, and that was 16.2 days. So you were also faster.
I mean, it would make sense that we go faster with the wind than against the wind.
And then my Galapagos to Marquesas. Actually, this was the longest mileage, but not days-wise. My trip, Galapagos to Marquesas, which you're about to do in a couple weeks, we sailed 3,361 miles in 17.4 days. So we had a higher average speed. We averaged 193 miles a day on that trip. That was a fast trip.
Wow.
And that was after, it was 3 days of motoring right off the bat.
And speaking about long trips, we do have openings on a long trip this year.
Oh, you're going to make this a
yes.
sales pitch now.
We had a cancellation. So we have an opening from Tahiti to Hawaii.
Okay, and that's like 2,500 miles.
No, 3,000 it says on the website.
No, it's 2,500.
Okay.
Maybe it's 3,000, Tahiti to Hawaii. Hang on, what was it last year? I can tell you. Tahiti to Hawaii last year was exactly 2,500 miles.
Okay, cool. Wow.
Yeah. This is so. I mean, do you like this? This is pretty fun.
I'm wondering if it's fun to listen to. Maybe.
I think it's pretty interesting. It's just it's wild that when our boats spend more than half the year moving.
Yeah.
Like cumulatively. I think 2025 will be a record.
I mean, definitely, especially because we had 2 Adrienne trips in there.
2 Adrienne trips. We've already done one this year, but
we're not racing.
We're not racing. We're not doing any races on the calendar this year. But I've got more Spica trips this year, although they're only about 100 miles long.
Yeah, but it's It's fun.
Anyway, this is a good segue. You mentioned your transatlantic on Falcon last year. Is it hard for you to believe that we were in the Atlantic? I mean, we're supposed to be we're recording this in March. This is supposed to be our annual year-end podcast, and it's now middle of March, but we haven't had a chance to sit down and actually do it. But it's hard to believe that a little over a year ago, you were on the way across the Atlantic, and now the boat is setting up for its second season in the Pacific.
What I think was the hardest to believe was that I did a transatlantic in January, February in last year, and then you went on your passage left in April, and the boat was already in Galapagos. That gap to me was very quick. To be able to like go from like Portugal to Galapagos from January to April.
It's just hard to it's hard to put my brain in the sense that we were in Portugal last year for New Year's. You, me, Axel, my dad, and my sister went to Portugal on vacation and then got the boat ready. Like, that just feels like a lifetime ago to me.
Definitely.
I think that's part of the reason we like doing this podcast is like you and I, we have such a future-focused business and life, I guess, in that sense, that we don't tend to take a ton of time to reflect. And I really enjoy this, like sitting down and reflecting on stuff with you.
It's definitely because when you start talking, that's when all the memory comes up and like small things that is not just the stats, but actually like the memories and like the smaller nuance that happen throughout the year.
So speaking of stats, though, you and I used to keep track and kind of compete over who had more transatlantics and trips like this and stuff. Do you care about that anymore? And do you know what the standings are so far?
I think you're one more than me, but I don't. Or is it?
Transatlantics were the same.
Okay.
Because I did, and my one more big trip is the Pacific, which you have coming up.
Mm-hmm.
We actually can look at this. If you want to look at this, we have some crew stats. Should we look at the staff logbook? This is so fun. I love doing this. So let's look at the staff logbook. Here you go, Mia. This is all time, not just for 2025, but how many trips do you think you and I have done just for 59 North this is basically including 2025, that was 11 years of running the business. How many trips do you think we've done, and how many miles do you think we've done?
I mean, I think you done way more trips than me because I took a couple of years off there with Axel was when he was born, and in general you do more trips than me. You have probably done, I would say, 70 trips.
Close. I have done 75 passages
for
59 North. You are second on the list with 54.
Ooh.
Pretty good. And the next person on the list still, it's hard to believe, is
Emma.
Shout out to Emma. She has 24 passages. August is catching up to her. Alex has 22. He's catching up as well. August has 21. Alex has 22. But it feels like these people have been around like forever, and yet you have more than twice as many passages as the next person, and I have 3 times as many.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we've been doing this for a long time.
We have.
How many miles do you think you and I have done
on the boats?
On
that's
59
that's
North
only
boats.
The 59 North boats.
Yep.
I have no idea actually. This is something that as a professional skipper you probably should keep track of.
Well, you do keep track of it.
True. That is.
It's right
that
here.
is true. This is not in my head. You've probably done like, no idea. 70,000.
Close. 67,103.
Man, I am pretty good at this.
Yeah.
Sorry,
You are
bragging here.
pretty good at this. 67,103. This is just 59 North, and you have
49.
pretty good. 50,151. And last stat on the crew this is not days at sea, but it's days on the boat. So days spent on one of the boats.
But I don't think we counted that when we were in early days.
Yeah, we did. It's just based on the number of trip days that the boat did.
Oh, okay.
This is counting like days in between. That's true. We didn't count all that when it wasn't trip related, but so anyway, I have a number here. I have 1,045. You have 745.
Makes sense.
But
I think we've spent way more time on the boat because you and me lived on the boats between the boats. Yeah, anyway.
So you made a mention of like these reflections, the conversations bring out the specific memories. What is kind of can you even remember that your 8th transatlantic last year, the first one of the year, going across from Las Palmas to Antigua? What memories do you have from that trip?
Man, that was such a good trip. I remember me and Emily were in Las Palmas and setting off, and we had such a good trip. It was so good wind. It was amazing crew, and like just remembering that like the boat just kept tracking on. It was such a fun trip.
Did you guys have good breeze on that trip?
We had good breeze. We had a really good wind. I think a couple of the days we had some lighter winds, but no, it was really good. The crew was absolutely amazing. Kind of
You
as
must have had pretty
usual.
good. You averaged 188 miles per day. So your speed over ground average was 7.8.
No, it was really good. And I remember we had a couple like issues that was annoying. We had I think we had something kind of around the prop or something that kept the prop unfeathering once in a while, which was a bummer, but it's sometimes you don't remember those things as annoying afterwards.
I'm back on stats again now. You guys did 188 miles a day. Could you guess on Falcon what was the fastest passage of the year? Like not in just days, but like fastest miles per day passage.
Probably your Galapagos trip?
No. It was Antigua to Colombia, which is like across the Caribbean Sea in the trades.
Yeah.
That wouldn't. I think if you would have looked at the map, you might have been able to guess that. That was a 1,000-mile passage. They averaged 205 miles a day.
That's a long passage too.
That's a long. That's the only passage of the year that averaged over 200
is it
miles.
Some current there too, maybe?
There is around the tip of Colombia down there, and then I came close with. Let's see here. Let's sort this. Let's see here. So, yeah, mine was the next one at 193 per day. Then Hawaii to Alaska was also fast, 192.
I remember that.
Then your transatlantic was 188. Then the two Adrian trips were 180. And then we had Falcon Marquesas to Tahiti was 176. That was a fast trip. These are pretty high averages.
I mean, we've also been sailing with the wind a lot.
Well, it's funny.
Which
We're ordering new sails for Falcon now that are going to get sent to Hawaii, and we're not ordering an upwind jib because I don't think it got used a single time last year.
No, it's been in the bag for a long time.
The Yankee, the reaching downwind sail has gotten much more use. You guys were basically pulled out across the Atlantic most of the way, right?
I mean, pretty much the whole way. I mean, yeah, I think the whole way.
When you like reflect on these trips, do you like couple what's going on in your or in our life with where you were on the boat and what was happening, or do you find that hard to connect?
What do you mean?
Like, you and me lead two separate lives, basically. One domestic at home and another one when we're on the boat. Are you able to like connect those two timelines, or are they completely separate in your head?
That's a good question, actually. To me, they're completely separate because it is truly like you pack your bag, you close the door. And also, I think it is because you don't have much communication with the other world when you're away. So like when I'm on Falcon, I don't really know what's going on. And maybe it's because I remember things from doing, not from listening or reading. So I remember a lot of things that I remember is from actively doing and experiencing. And since I'm not experiencing the life when you're home, I think that kind of like is away, not really in my memory. So like when I'm on Falcon, I'm sailing across the Atlantic and I'm remembering the stars and I'm remembering those moments. And then I also remember like being in the playground with Axel, but I don't connect those two.
I don't remember, like, okay,
The only time I can connect those two worlds is when they're together. Like when Axel was and your family were in Portugal with us and then I took off on the boat. Those are together because they were experienced together. How about you?
I have a hard time connecting them. I'm even thinking now, like, okay, when you were on the boat, where was I? Well, I was here at the old house with Axel for the time. And I just remember that's like in the dead of winter in February. I remember that time going very slowly. Like we've often said, I think it's harder being the person that is quote unquote left behind for the normal day-to-day life. But I think it's especially not hard, but like, the time goes much slower because when you're here and I'm on the boat, you've got your family and more friends than I have in Sweden. And especially in the dark of winter when there's like nothing going on, there's nothing to do.
Yeah, to me, like I'm chasing the time to trying to do everything I want to do when you're away, versus you were kind of just sitting around and waiting for me.
Well, and I often I'll go, like Axel and I are going to the U.S. now for a month when you're away next time. So I can see my family and friends and he can get time with his grandfather, my dad and my sister and stuff. But I guess I have a hard time. I mean, I have a hard time remembering anything.
Yeah.
That's why like me going through this last year with you is like basically a refresher for me because I don't remember.
I can
don't
tell you what
remember
happened.
anything.
Yeah.
You can tell me what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So get back on the timeline then.
Well, no, I was gonna take a little sidetrack here for a
Okay,
second
that's
because I don't know that we make a. I don't know, not to like toot your horn, but like you had this call the other day with another mom sailor.
To be mom.
Sailor. And I think you had this realization that there's not many people like you that are moms and are sailing not quite full time, but like spending a lot of your time away. And you told me a few things from that conversation that kind of brought that up. Can you just kind of describe what you guys talked about and what the challenges were?
No, it dawned to me that like there's some people who have female sailors who have had kids, but they're more like kind of in the Volvo racing, like kind of in the racing scene or like in that professional world. That's a very different sailing world than you and me live in.
Or the like live aboard, everybody, families are on the boat.
Yeah. So there's two things of like, professional sailors who kind of like are out racing and have a family, and either the family follow around or kind of like they come and go, or like a lot of people do now, especially with Starlink, family live on the boat, parents work, kids are sailing, kind of like the family cruising. But I could not really come up with many or any female sailor that do like we do, that work on the boat as skipper and mates, kind of like on rotation, and then come back to family. And it would be very interesting to connect with other people who do that as a profession and not just as a hobby.
But wasn't that why this person reached out to you?
Yeah,
what were her questions?
So no, she just wanted to understand the situation because she was pregnant and she had a goal to do the Fastnet race as a skipper with her team, and was wondering like what it's like. And she had a mentor. She was in part of the Magenta project, and she was wondering how, just like, what is it like to be a mom and be away, and like what are the challenges and like things you would have done differently, all the things that you would like to ask. And it's not that many people who do this, actually.
What did you tell her?
No, I mean, I just shared my story basically. And I think everyone would have different things, like how long to stay home after you have a baby. Like it all depends on the situations, and it all depends on how you are as a person, and how this, like, everything is situation based. And I think the more situations you have, the easier it is to kind of get your own thoughts around it. So, but I could not find that many situations. So it would be really cool to hear if there's other kind of female professional sailors out there. And I think, to me, when you talk about professional sailors, a lot of people just think about racers who are like out there in the racing scene, part of a team, but we do it so different than that.
It's interesting because around the same time you had this conversation, Brady, shout out to Brady.
Brady and Alex are the same way.
Well, yeah, Cruisers Academy. So Brady texted me. He goes, I just got to Mexico. I'm going to be on Lentica for 6 weeks. How do you do this? This is the first time leaving the family behind.
Yeah.
And I said back, I was like, basically the secret is you got to enjoy the freedom and that it's okay to miss them. Both can be true at the same time. One of my favorite lines from the movie Vanilla Sky, without the bitter baby, the sweet ain't as sweet. And I said, this is a great topic and one I think about and we live about a lot. And I said that I told him that you're going away for 7 weeks in April. And it's like, so is it hard?
I was telling her that the hardest is to break between the two worlds. The hardest for me is like the week before, kind of closing off one life and then starting up the next, if that makes sense. So like closing off, like, because also I'm working shore base when I'm home. So be able to hand over work to someone and then also like saying goodbye, that's like heartbreaking to me. But then once you're underway and like on the play, I think usually like the first 1 or 2 days is hard because you're jet lagged, you're emotional, but then you just get back in it and I love it. And I think that is the secret. You have to love it, because if you don't enjoy it, it's not going to work.
What do you love about it?
I just love the freedom. I love being at sea. I love being around people. I mean, it's like the community we have on the boats is so unique. I just really, really enjoy the whole concept of what we do. I mean, probably as much as the crew love to be there too. And I love to be there. I mean, I get to work with Alex this year. I get to work with Mary this year, and the challenge of getting the boat to everything about it. And I love that life. And if I would not have that, I think my life here would not be as enjoyable, because I have something to look forward to when I'm home, and I have something to look forward to when I'm away.
I really enjoy the sort of, like I said to Brady, the freedom that you have no family responsibilities. I trust that you are managing the family side of things when I'm away, and that I get to kind of bring out that version of myself that existed even before you and I met, like this kind of independent. You're out traveling, you have agency over your own time. Ironically, you don't when you're on the boat at sea, but in those few days before and after trips, you do. Is that part of it for you too?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
No, I don't need that.
You don't feel like independent Mia?
I mean, I feel like I'm independent in my daily life. I don't need that to feel like I'm my own person. But I just really enjoy being at sea. But it is also really funny. Like, I think everyone who is at sea know this and feel this. So, like, the first couple of days, like when you're a little bit like, maybe not seasick, but like, it takes a couple of days to get just sea legs. And every first like 2 days, I was like, man, why did I not just stay home? Why did I agree to do this? But then I have to tell myself, like, Mia, this is a voice you have every single time. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get over. And then, like, after a couple of days, I just love it. And then, like, yes, now I know what I'm doing this. And I think, yeah, so that is it for me. And I just really enjoy being on the boat. I mean, I think if you and me would not have family, you and me would be running trips together and we would have a happy life. But I'm really happy we decided to try to have a family and have this compromised life of like having family at home and also having time at sea.
It was interesting. We're recording this in my new office in the new house, and we have we're mostly moved in, but we have all the photos and posters and stuff on the the artwork that we have downstairs. We haven't put on the walls yet, and we were talking about what we're gonna put in what room and stuff like that. And I said something about, oh, do we want to have a picture of Falcon? And you said something interesting.
I don't remember.
You said because you and I don't have any shared memories on Falcon.
No, that is true. Yes, because on Falcon is very few times when you and me actually have spent time together. So it's more fun to have shared memories that we have done together, like back in the days.
Do you have any, to bring this back to 2025? What are some of the we could do like a glums and glows of the entire year? Like, what are some things that you really got excited about and that you remember from the year? And what are some things were there any things that really stressed you out last year?
Oh, that's a hard question. I'm more of a timeline person. I like to kind of follow a timeline and talk around that.
So, all right. Well, so what do you remember? I mean, you started the year on the transatlantic.
So we started the year by doing a women's trip on Falcon, which was awesome.
That's right.
So we left Portugal and went down to the Canaries, and then we had a couple of days in Canaries. I went up the Falcon's mast for the first time this year. That was a big highlight.
I forgot about that.
It is tall. It's high up
95 feet off the water, I think.
So I had been up before, but not on Falcon. So that was a big one for me.
That is a big one. I mean, those of you listening, Mia is she was in the bosun chair once, long time ago, got to the level of the boom. She's like, okay, I'm high enough. Get me down.
Yeah,
and what is it? You said you don't like being not in control.
No, and it's just, it's freaking high. I love climbing trees. As a kid, I was always highest up in the trees. I told Mom there was a hole in the chimney because I climbed all the way up in the trees so I could see down the chimney. So I love climbing, but it's something about sitting there and it's...
Well, that's a big highlight.
Yeah. So, and then we went across the Atlantic, and like I said, it was a really, really good passage. And we had a couple of days. That was probably some of my fondest memories from the year too, when we got into Antigua, because Antigua has been such a big part of our life. We've been there so many times, and we have so many good memories from there. So me and Emily came into Antigua. It was quite funny because we had a couple issues. We were gonna come in there middle of the season. We're gonna drop the anchor and go stern to on the dock at the Antigua Yacht Club, and the manager there, I think a lot of people come in there like, oh, our windlass is broken, so we can't do it. We want to have a side to berth because people are lazy. And literally, our windlass was corroded and we could not do it. And I don't know if it was that we were two women. It felt like that, but I'm not going to say that because that was not kind of spoken. But me and Emily came in there and our anchor windlass failed. So we
you had already anchored. You were trying to leave, I thought.
Yeah, we had dropped. I don't remember the whole story, but anyway, I think when the mechanic walked out with the windlass under his arm, I think the guys understood that no, we're not just making shit up. We actually have a broken windlass. We're not just trying to be lazy. But anyway, so we had a really nice time in Antigua. We had I think I had almost a week there.
You met up with James too.
Yeah, and every morning I woke up and saw the sun come up on the goat path. That's like my favorite part of Antigua. So I did that every morning.
Up over the hill between Nelson's Dockyard and Falmouth Harbor.
And James Aiken, a guy that we met a long time ago in Ireland on Isbjörn after the Svalbard season, he was there on his boat getting it ready. So every morning we met up at a little Frenchy bakery, had a coffee and a croissant, and then the day started. So that was probably what I felt about like kind of the freedom before we had kids. Like you could do that. Like now I can't go on a hike in the morning and then meet up with a friend at a bakery and have a coffee and a croissant. I mean, that was like Mia freedom.
Yeah.
Anyway, Antigua is so that was a pretty special time. And then I flew home and met up with you guys.
You go a lot of... Well, both of us do now because we don't sail. We only do 2 stints a year. So there's a long time passes between trips. You're getting ready to go to Falcon in the Pacific now, and you haven't sailed since August last year.
I know.
And you often say to me, like, you worry that you're going to forget what you're doing.
I mean, it always feels like that. It's like if you every spring when you get your bike out of the shed, it's like, do I remember how to bike? It's like, yeah, of course you do. But it's just that feeling of like, I haven't done this in a while.
I remember, so I asked you that sort of glums and glows question because I have a few stressful things. It's interesting because I spend less time on the boat every year now than I used to. And like Adam and Alex and Mary this year are really in charge of making sure the boat is running because they're the ones there in the moment. And I'm always getting these debrief reports and like saying, okay, and I remember you guys, windlass broke. It's like, crap. All right, Adam, what are we going to do about this? How are we going to handle this? I think he had to have like 2 windlass motors flown in with crew to Colombia, one as a replacement, one as a spare, and managing the logistics of all that while we're on this very, very tight timeline is stressful for me. I remember, I think Mary took the boat to Panama from Antigua. Did you hand over to Mary in Antigua? Do I have that right? I'm sure you did because she had to replace the throttle in Antigua.
Was there.
The throttle in
Mary
Antigua.
and Mano was there, correct.
And they sailed the boat to Colombia and then on to Panama and through the canal. And this just popped into my head. One of my favorite stories from last year is they had a canal pilot going through the Panama Canal. And, we do these glums and glows things every day at dinner on the boat. So like each night at dinner, after we're done eating, you go around the room and kind of ask what was your highlights and lowlights of the day, and everybody gets to kind of reflect on the day. It's we borrowed it from Broadreach, and it's one of my favorite parts of the day. Well, they're doing this, and the canal pilot he participated in it, so he chimed in with his glums and glows.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
Mary said he was having the time of his life. He was like this expat American guy, and normally these pilots get put on commercial ships or whatever, and here he is, gets on a sailboat, hanging out with all these people, had dinner with them, slept on the boat overnight.
Oh, no way.
And
where did he sleep?
I think he slept on the boat. Maybe I'm making that up.
I don't think so. I mean, in the forepeak or?
Well, they had to anchor in the middle of Lake Gatun. So
okay, maybe on the sailboat.
I might be making that up, but anyway, he participated in glums and glows, which awesome. I think is the funniest thing ever. But then, we've had an ongoing refrigeration issue on Falcon, which I had to deal with again in Mexico. But this was where Adam's like, why don't we just get one of those sort of standalone cooler plug-in fridges and put it in the forepeak? And not only did it make a really nice bench for people to change clothes on who are living in the forward crew cabin, but like now we have an extra freezer or fridge and a backup capacity because the fridge kept failing on us.
That's right.
So these are like stressful moments I had, but they all kind of had a happy ending. And I've had to work on not freaking out so much in the moment and just being like, okay, things are always going to happen, and we're always going to find a way to deal with it.
I mean, the thing is, like you said, Falcon sailed 20,000 miles in 1 year. And of course...
18,000.
18,000.
Now you're exaggerating.
I didn't remember. And of course, things are. I mean, the more you can do to prepare things for not happening, the better it is. But you cannot expect it to be not happening because of the amount of miles she's sailing. I mean, you're basically putting her through an earthquake every day when you're going upwind or even downwind. So... it is going to happen things, and you just have to manage it and have enough plans for how to handle it.
And what I was going with that is like it's more it's easier to handle stuff like that when you're on the boat and have a direct influence on what's happening, like mentally easier.
Yeah, that's been another challenge with the Pacific, that it's so far away from here, like especially with the timeline. Often you're on
Time
12-hour
zone.
hour difference, but yeah, so we went from Antigua to Colombia. Colombia was a new stop for us.
Colombia was new. That was cool.
And then
San Blas.
Mm-hmm. And then over through the canal.
Through the canal. I mean, it's hard for me to imagine what I felt like when the boat was sitting in Panama on the Pacific side, getting ready to head into the Pacific for the first time, because we've now done it and we know what to expect. But like last year was a huge amount of uncertainty. Like, okay, what are we going to expect? How's this all going to work? I remember getting to Marquesas and like, okay, what's the deal here? Where's customs? Where's all this? Antigua for you, like you just said, was very familiar. And
you know exactly what grocery store to go shopping in, where to hike.
Whereas every stopover last year for us was new and like new logistics. And it's why we're doing another loop going to all exactly the same places, because it's easier logistically.
Yeah, when we were planning 25 seats, we said we can't do all this planning just for one-off, because we have to like at least take advantage of things we've learned one time.
So I joined the boat last year in Galapagos. Speaking of things we've learned, you were trying to book because you're doing the same trip that I did last year.
To start with, you booked it to the wrong island. Mr.
True.
Logistic.
I did. Mr. Logistic. I booked my flight to the wrong island. It was in the Galapagos, so I could have gotten a ferry, but still. I didn't realize where Falcon was going to be. And Alex was looking at the itinerary. He's like, you're landing in Santa Cruz, but the boat's going to be in San Cristobal. I was like, huh, okay, thanks for that. I was able to change it. But I flew, this was the first of many, like, okay, big, challenging travel days for us. I flew from Sweden to New York. My dad did this trip with me as well. So he met me at Newark Airport with a rental car. We drove from Newark over to JFK, got a room at the TWA Hotel in JFK, which, by the way, if it's kind of expensive, but if you ever need an airport hotel in JFK, just do it once in your life. It's so cool. The TWA have you been there with me?
I'm not very impressed with hotels in general.
It's so cool. It's in the old TWA Airlines terminal, and they converted it into a hotel, and it's just like all the branding, it's just so perfect. They have an old DC-10 airplane parked in the parking lot that they turned into a bar. So my dad and I went out there and had a bourbon, like sitting in the airplane, and they have you have like a little cafe in the terminal. It's 1960s, the whole thing. It feels like you're in a time machine. They have a DeLorean parked in the parking lot. Anyway, my dad and I stayed there. Our flight left at like 2:00 in the morning, so we basically got like 3 hours of sleep. Went over, got on a plane, flew to Ecuador. We flew into not the one that's high up in the mountains. I think we flew into Guayaquil, which is down in the river valley. And I remember flying in, and it was like, you said Antigua was familiar. Most of the places in the Atlantic are now familiar to us. And this was the first realization I had where it's like, I am in a new place now. Like coming into land in Guayaquil, like we flew right over this like floodplain and the river was flooded and all these houses and jungle and stuff. And I'm just like, I had that feeling I had like back in the day when we were first started traveling, like, wow, this is new and exotic, and wow, this is really exciting.
Cool.
Thanks. And then we sat in, so that was like a kind of an overnight flight, 2 a.m. We landed at like 7 or 8 in the morning, got some breakfast, had a transfer flight, and then flew over to the Galapagos. So I think it was, I don't know, 36 hours of travel. And we met, Falcon was on anchor in the Galapagos, and I just remember getting down to the waterfront and seeing all the sea lions there. You had to like shoo the sea lions off the dock, and that was the first time for me. It's like, okay, we're in a new ocean, we're in a new place. This is going to be really different.
Mm. Yeah, and I'm about to experience it this year.
Right, that's what I was getting at. It's like you're now going to get to see the same thing, and logistics-wise, I was like, okay, here's better flights, and this is how you should do it, and you actually booked it to the right island on the first drive.
I did.
But my dad and I did a trip to see the tortoises. We didn't get to see much of the Galapagos, just San Cristobal, but we did a little trip to see the tortoises. So me and my dad, I think, was Emily along with us?
I think so.
I think she came along. We saw the tortoises, and then we biked back. So like they took us in a pickup truck, and they put 3 mountain bikes in the back of the pickup truck because the tortoise sanctuary was like on the other side of the mountain. So we drove up and over the mountain and down to the tortoises, and then our little driver guy, drove us up to the top of the mountain. We unloaded the bikes out of the truck, and then we biked downhill all the way back to the harbor on like paved roads.
That's awesome.
And it was so funny because my dad's 70, he was 73 at the time, 72. I think he turned 73 on the trip. And I don't know the last time he's ridden a bike, and just like riding at bikes again with my dad down the mountain was really fun.
That's awesome.
So we biked all the way downhill to the harbor and got to spend like 4 or 5 days in Galapagos, hang out with the sea lions. And then off we went, and that was our first Pacific crossing, and my dad got to join us.
Yeah.
And I remember just one memory from that crossing for me. I'm sure I've told this on the podcast before, but it was like middle of the night. We were going fast, wing on wing, nice smooth sailing, not like an easy swell running. And I was down below. It's probably 2 a.m. I'm on watch. I had my life jacket and tether on. I'd taken them off and put it under the Dodger to go down and get a bowl of cereal. And I had like a big bowl of muesli filled to the brim with milk. And I'm like walking towards the companionway. I was going to take it outside and eat it in the cockpit. And just as I'm on the second companionway step, the boat rolled. My life jacket and tether slid off of the top of the, under the Dodger area, came crashing down through the companionway, and the metal clip part of my tether landed right in my muesli bowl and knocked it out of my hand. And I dumped this like concrete milk muesli all over everything on the floor. It seeped down through the floorboards. It was all over me. And it was like one of those moments where I'm just like frozen in shock.
How did you clean that mess up?
Yeah, exactly. How do you clean a mess like that up?
How did you?
I just sopped it up. Thankfully, most of the muesli had absorbed a lot of the milk, but oh my God, it was everywhere. It was just, and it just.
If a crew would have done that, you would have been so frustrated.
I would have been very
glad
frustrated.
It was you.
I'm very glad it was me, but I did clean it up, and then I eventually did make another bowl, and I ate it.
Good.
Finally, I got that. But
no
then,
life jackets under the companionway.
Speaking of milk, this was a lesson learned. We had, we were stocking up because there's not, Marquesas, there's not much stuff to buy there, so. We had filled one of the bilge compartments with UHT milk, those kind of like cardboard, I think they're those Tetra Pak containers. So we get to Marquesas, and we're doing the deep clean, and one of the deep clean items is to go under the floorboards. And we had noticed like a day or two prior to this that there was a funky smell coming out of the galley. And there were some onions that had gotten a little old, and we thought, okay, it's just the onions, let's chuck these overboard, whatever. But it kind of still lingered. And then we go under the floorboards, it's like, well, there's the smell. 2 of those Tetra Pak containers had chafed through and leaked 2 liters of UHT milk in that bilge compartment. Thank God that bilge compartment was sealed off from everything else, so it didn't like seep through to the rest. But we had 2 liters of now old and open milk to clean up out of the bilge.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was pretty gnarly. So please don't do that again. What else do you remember from last year? If we continue on the timeline, do you remember, like, was it frustrating talking to me when I'm on the other side of the planet, literally in Tahiti, and we're trying to FaceTime with Axel? Like, what were you doing back home during that trip?
It was springtime. I don't even remember what I did last spring. I think we had a really nice time. Yeah, me and Axel went out biking a lot. I think we had a really nice spring at home. But no, I don't remember much. And yeah, it was challenging talking to you because the only time you could really talk was like, I think it was 12 hours difference. So in morning was evening for you, evening was morning for, like, it just was not a good time to talk to Axel. And he's also like, you don't want to talk straight right before bed because then he gets sad. You don't want to talk straight before school. So yeah, it was a little bit of a challenge. But I remember we had a pretty good spring. Probably putting around outside like we normally do.
It's cool too, because like the way we sort of hopscotch with the other staff, I remember meeting up with Mary again in Tahiti to do the handover. You get to spend like 1 or 2 days during the like overlap with people, and I think that's probably the most fun part for me is getting to meet all the different people in the different places.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, I'll see you again in Alaska or whatever. It's pretty fun. I think that's cool.
And then the boat, you went to Tahiti. That was your time to go home.
I came back here and just in time, because as soon as I got back here this is a big part of last year that I don't even remember now until we're following this timeline. That was our first year last year on New Spica. Mm-hmm. My dad actually came back from Tahiti with me.
When you were gone, we had Spica. She was still in the place where we bought her. She was hauled out there for the winter. And then me and the old owner Martin went down to launch her. So I that was part of my
That's right. I forgot about that.
stuff to do at home. So I put her back in the water and made sure everything was safe. And then as soon as when you got back, your dad came with you from to the Sweden.
So I flew back. I flew from Tahiti and spent like 5 days at my dad's house in Pennsylvania on the way back because I was flying through New York anyway.
Yeah, and then you and your dad actually brought Spike up. We wanted to have her closer to Stockholm because it was like 2.5 hours drive. So you and your dad sailed Spike up to Stockholm for us.
And then we had our first, I think we should touch on, like, we had our first kind of, is this going to work or not, living on the boat for several weeks during the summer.
Yeah, so while Falcon continued across the Pacific, you and me moved on to Spica for 3 weeks on kind of a semi-vacation with Axel, and it was awesome. I mean, we also were super lucky with the weather. I think we had sun and 25 degrees every single day
for
like
3.5 weeks. Yeah,
we started in rain and fog,
That's
and
true.
after that it cleared.
But do you remember also that same week that we brought Spica up, the new Spica up, is when we bought this house.
Yeah.
It's like all this stuff overlaps. It's crazy. And we didn't move in until basically now. But I think like we were really, I think from the year before when Axel had his daycare was closed for like the month in the summer when the entire country's on vacation, basically in July. And you and I said, this is stupid. Why are we, his daycare was closed, but they have to provide childcare. So Axel was like the only kid in school with his teacher.
For like a week, yeah.
And we're just like, this is so stupid. Like, we have the ability now to be with him. Let's just take our vacation when the rest of everybody else is on vacation. And we kind of said, and that's what actually led us into buying new Spica. To have a nicer boat to live on. Like, we're just going to commit to this. But last year was the real test to see, is this going to work for extended periods of time living on the boat with Axel? And like, I think it was a phenomenal success.
It was perfect for the three
He
of us.
loved it.
Yeah.
It was so cool. I mean, we basically just got to do our own little cruising life for the summer. And we're doing that again this year.
Yeah. And for people who don't know Spica, she's an OE36, beautiful old boat from the 70s.
We bought her
Perfect for
fully
us.
restored. It's like
Yeah.
amazing. It's small. We can't stand up down below. And that was another consideration. It's like, is the boat big enough for us to live on? And we decided emphatically,
100%.
like, yes, for sure.
I mean, you don't need much because in the summertime too, you're spending so much time outside.
What are some of your fun memories from our Spica trip
Uh,
with Axel?
Swimming. I mean, it just seeing him like in the morning waking up. I mean, Sweden is. We had a warm summer. It was warm in the water, but warm considering Sweden. I think
It's
it was
still like 68 degrees.
20, 22 degrees, and he was in for hours. Like literally, like he could be in for like 3 hours before lunch, and then 3 more hours after lunch.
I mean, it got to the point. Do you remember though? At first, he was a little bit of a chicken and didn't want to swim.
It took him a week to swim.
It took him a week to get in the water, and then by the end of the trip, he was like wanting to go in before breakfast, like
Yeah.
as soon as he woke up, and then also after dinner. I
Yeah.
thought it was really cool. We had a routine where each night after dinner, we had an adventure. Where it's like, okay, let's go do something. Let's go somewhere. We'd go sit on the rocks, or we'd go for a little walk, or whatever. And I thought that was a really fun. We went on my favorite memory from last year. You know what I'm going to say, right?
When we went swimming in Huvudskär.
In Huvudskär, when we took the dinghy on a little after dinner mission to find a nice little bay to swim in, and like it was like probably 7:00 at night, sun's low in the sky. You, me, and Axel are basically found this little cove, parked the dinghy, and we're all just like jumping off the rocks and swimming and stuff after dinner. Like that was probably the most fun like after dinner adventure we had.
Definitely. And another highlight I think that we found throughout the year was Axel's passion of lighthouses.
Oh my gosh, yes. That was so. Tell the story at Huvudskär.
So we
First of all, give some context of what Huvudskär is.
So Huvudskär is one of the outer islands in the archipelago. There's this, just basic rocks. I think there's a little bit of a community there. No one, I don't know if anyone lives there year round, but they have a little like hostel out there and a big lighthouse. It's like one of the outposts. And last year, a couple of years ago, when we were on the west coast, Axel just really...
And also, hang on, Huvudskär has been on my radar ever since we had Arcturus here in 2013 because it's like the last kind of island group before you're in the Baltic.
Yeah.
And it's pretty remote. It's really beautiful and it looks really cool. And I've always wanted to go there, but we had never been there before.
Yeah, and then we know Axel liked lighthouses, and there's a big one out there. And I never seen him running up so fast on the cliffs to like, and he was touching it. You could see the glow in his eyes. So that was also pretty cool to see.
That was very cool.
Yeah.
Was it hard then? So like you basically went straight from, so I did my little cruising trip on Spica right after our family vacation. And then you went pretty much straight from that back to Falcon all the way in British Columbia. Was it hard to break away? Or I guess let me ask you a different question. Was it harder to break away in the middle of the summer than it was like when you left Sweden in January?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, we had such a Sweden in summertime is so pretty. That's the time to be there. But I was also, to me, it's also really cool when you have something to look forward to. And that trip was really, I was really excited to do it. And so it was hard, but also pretty easy. And it was easier because it wasn't going to be 8 weeks away or like 6 weeks away. It was one trip and done. And sailing down to San Francisco, I knew I was going to meet up with Laura there. So it was okay, but it was also quite hard to go for only 3 weeks with that time difference. I'm pretty affected by jet lag.
It was just one trip, yeah.
Yeah, but no, it was a really good trip. We did another women's trip from BC down to San Francisco. And again, like we had perfect weather. We had like 3 days of downwind sailing down the coast, and pretty challenging when you're new to Falcon and steering in downwind conditions, but a really good trip and amazing crew again.
Was that the trip with the meditation room, or was that the one in the
that
North
was
Sea?
the North Sea one.
The North Sea, where
yeah.
8 out of 9 people were seasick or something.
7
out of 8 crew was
7 out of
seasick.
the crew was seasick. Yeah, that was last in 24. Yes,
Okay.
100%. But yeah, and then I came home, and we basically, that was the time to put Spike away.
Yeah, back in the shed.
Yeah.
I actually, this was a fun memory. I took 3 days to sail Spica in from Stockholm by myself. So I had it was only like 60 miles, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do this slowly. I'm going to sail. I'm going to take my computer. I'm going to work in the evenings and just have time on the boat by myself. And that was really, really fun. Really nice.
And then in the meantime, Falcon was sitting in San Francisco. We haven't even touched on Eastbjörn. Eastbjörn was doing the whole, I mean, you and me been connected more to Falcon, but Eastbjörn has been.
Well, I was literally going to say that. Like, we haven't really talked about racing. We had the Carib 600 was in there in February, and we had Eastbjörn's whole season. But like, shout out to Nikki for running the racing program more or less without our involvement, and huge shout out to August for actually running the Eastbjörn program entirely without our involvement. So much so that like, it's not even really. I mean, we talked to August a lot, but not really specifically about Eastbjörn. More about Quarterdeck stuff and other big picture business stuff. But like, you know, when he came aboard back when we met him in Svalbard, that was the whole idea, that he'd run the Eastbjörn program, and that's worked like exceptionally well.
Yeah, and she had some amazing trips out to, I think, where did she go? Fair Island?
Fair Island was always a hit. Faroes, they went down to, I don't even know where they went.
Yeah, but I remember that they had a
No, they went up to north, and they did that trip, that long fjord trip to Flom.
Oh, that's
like
right.
150 miles inland in the biggest fjord in Norway.
I know.
That was a part of that trip. Anyway, yeah, this is again, like, there's so much happens in the course of a year that it's impossible to remember it all, especially in an hour-long podcast. I mean, we're already at 52 minutes in this.
Wow.
It's like, it feels like we just got started. But, and the other thing that we haven't hit on yet, which is probably the single biggest news that's happened in our life since we started 59 North, is we bought the freaking Woodwind.
Yes, in the middle of all this.
That was happening in the background the entire year. We had started negotiating on that deal basically when you were at sea on Falcon, is when we actually in earnest started negotiating that we're going to try to do this. And I remember Ryan Finstad, our business partner, was with me on the Tahiti trip, and he and I are like in the Marquesas on the internet, wheeling and dealing with Jen and her family at the Woodwind, trying to get this deal done while also fixing the water maker on Falcon under the tent. So it's just like crazy, all the things that happened simultaneously. And that got finalized at Boat Show. And then we probably had one of the more exciting boat shows of recent memory, because that was when we first took over ownership of Woodwind. And that this year's
and
boat
also
show,
when we could announce it to the
that's
public,
what I mean.
basically.
We could finally
yeah.
announce it. This is what had been happening all along in the background.
Yeah, and Woodwind is about to start her season now. So
I know, yeah. It's March 16th as we record this. In less than a month, Woodwind starts her season with us in charge. So Ryan Ellison has been working feverishly over the winter to get everything ready for the season.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
It is really, I mean, we've dropped a bunch of names here too. It's like pretty cool to see how far we've come with the people that work with 59 North as well. Because it's impossible for you and I to do all this ourselves.
Yeah, but also it's the best part is that it's everyone pretty much started as our friends.
Oh,
and now,
totally.
Yeah, like we have
yeah.
such a fun team together.
So I mentioned Ryan Finstad is one of our business partners. Ryan was a customer on trip number 3. Trip number 3 and 4. He did 2 trips back to back on Eastbjörn with me. That's how we met. He's been one of my best friends ever since. Same thing, Ryan and Sophie. We met them here in Sweden, and he's been one of our best friends ever since, him and Sophie. And it's just like, there's that old cliche of like, oh, don't do business with your friends. It's like, F that.
If you're going to spend a lot of time with people, you might as well spend time with your friends.
Exactly. Like you spend most of your waking hours at work. Why not spend that time at work with the people you want to spend the most time with anyway? Like I got to hang out with Ryan Finstad at his house in San Diego because he did the first trip of the year with me this year down to Mexico. And I completely turned that notion on your head. Like if you can't do business with your friends, they're probably not really your friends.
Yeah. You have to be careful though, because, and you have to set up good boundaries. And to be able to talk conversation, I don't know, yeah.
If they're the right people, I don't think you need any of that.
That's true.
I am also a believer in like, contracts are useful, but like don't do business with people that you have to have a contract for because you're worried they might screw you over. Like, I don't know, man. I'm not into that. I do everything. And I mean, I take talk about a sidetrack here, but like I take the attitude that give everybody the benefit of the doubt all the time, even strangers, because it just allows you to lead a less stressful life. And maybe once in a while you get burned, but like 99% of the time, your day-to-day life, you think the best of other people, you're going to have a better experience in the world.
And then karma come back and bite them.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yes. And then karma come back and bite them.
And this year, it's last year was kind of the last year that you and me can, with Axel, he starts school this fall, and we will have a harder time. We can't really take him out of school during the school year. So last year, when we went to the US in October, we could spend the whole month there, as we have been. And
he gets to hang with Pappy and my sister.
Exactly. But this year will be more challenging because we're going to have to go to the US without him if it's not a school break. But I was going to say that last year we were there for the whole month of October, and you and me spent some time in San Francisco with Alex and Adam getting the boat ready after her break.
And I got another shout out to Laura, who used to work for us. We got to hang at Laura's yacht club out in Richmond, so North Bay in San Francisco. And I got immediately jealous of her sailing gang out there. Like they had been racing. We went out there after the races were over and had some beers and then got to do some boat tours. That's where I met that Sir Edmund, that amazing wooden schooner that I really wanted to buy and almost did. And just went out to dinner with her and her friends. And I was just like, man, what a cool little community to have here of like real sailors, real people that are just hanging out. And just to be a part of that for just one afternoon.
But also such an open community that let us just kind of be part of it for a day.
Yeah, it was amazing. So cool. And we're still in touch with some of those people that we met out there. And then, having Falcon at the St. Francis Yacht Club in downtown San Francisco, one of the most prestigious yacht clubs in America. And they just were like, yeah, come on in, have an open house. We had an open house there. And that was kind of
came down and said hi.
That was a cool way to end the year for us. And it wasn't really the end of the year, but we got to see Adam and Alex there. We got to hang out. We launched Falcon with Adam. We were there and saw the boat on the Hard. And I really like being involved, on the ground like that. And I think that's really fun to do
that's
that.
Why we have this. If you and me are not connected anymore.
No, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it is going to be challenging this year without being able to bring Axel along. You're going to be I'm going to stay for the month this year, but you're not.
I'll go for a week. For the show.
So speaking of woodwind, I'm going to give another sales pitch here. If you've made it this far into the episode, we're doing
good on you.
We're doing the Great Chesapeake Bay Schooner Race on woodwind as a 59 North trip and a trip back up the bay. So an adventure sailing cruise, like 5 days cruising back up the bay from Norfolk back to Annapolis.
That's really cool. I wish I could be part. I wish both of you and me could do that together.
That race, though, is like a big reason why I wanted to buy the business so much, because I did it in 2006 and 2007 as a deckhand when I first started working as a sailor, and like that, I still have amazingly fond memories of that. It was so cool. I'm so excited to be part of that again. So Mia, let's wrap this up. We didn't really touch on the new house process.
Yeah.
That happened last year as well.
Yeah,
and here we are finally in the new house.
That's really exciting. And you had to part with your mission control container that you've been loving for so many years.
Your dad's going to take care of it.
You have a mini mission control now in the house.
This is actually way more convenient and better.
Much more convenient.
Yeah, it's nice.
Less dreamy. Less
the problem
cool.
is I can't listen to music as loud here though, because you're just downstairs.
Yeah, you have to do that. You have to do that when you have a whole 6 weeks when I'm gone.
Yeah, 4 of those weeks I'm going to be at my dad's house. Let's end this with I asked you this before. What are some glums and glows from the year for you? Just random.
The glows are definitely my transatlantic with the crew and the stars, and it's a cool thing when doing such a long trip is that you get both the moon and the stars on one trip.
You got to do the glums first. That's the rule. Or if you don't have any glums, you can be glum free.
Ooh, you're putting me on the spot here. I would say that I'm glum free.
Hey, glum free, woo!
But yeah, that was a big highlight. Doing a women's trip with Nikki was really cool. And same thing, like we had such cool weather there, and like everything kind of just worked out with the weather. Like as soon as we got to San Francisco, we had planned to anchor north, and it was so foggy, like you couldn't even see like the bow of the boat. So we dropped anchor, like had no idea where we were. And the next morning we were motoring, no wind, towards the San Francisco Bridge, Golden Gate Bridge, and it was like the textbook perfect. Like the 30 minutes before the bridge, wind picked up a little bit, enough to get the sails up, and we started sailing. And as soon as we like got to the bridge, the fog lifted, and we like sailed under the bridge, like just kind of magic. It's like you could not have like planned it any better. So that was a big highlight.
That's cool.
Yeah. What about you?
My glum. You didn't make a sound.
I don't make sound.
My glums. Well, I already mentioned the spilling the oatmeal. That was a major glum. I hate doing that. And the stress glums of like, okay, the fridge is broken. What do we do? The windlass is broken. What do we do? I still don't handle that stuff as well as I should.
Of course, it's hard to be glum free, but I just could not think of a specific moment.
Yeah, that's fine. And my big highlights, I mean, talk about stress, but also a huge glow for me was when you and me, I mean, everybody knows that listens to this show that I am the gas and you are the brake. And when we went to look at this house, I was like full step on the pedal gas and you were like full step on the brake. And a big glow for me was that you actually came around, and I think you're just as excited now to be here as I was when we first saw the place.
Just a little quick.
Yeah. So that was a big glow for me. And Spica, the summer on Spica last year was amazing. So much so that we like fully committed to that boat, bought a new mast for it. That's going to happen this year, so we're going to have a lot of fun to think about there. And the woodwind thing, like that was a huge full circle moment for me back in Annapolis that we got to take over that and announce it to everybody. That was really cool. So that was probably the glow of the year for me, the woodwind thing. I'm really excited about that. Any last words?
I don't know. I think we covered all. I'm impressed if
Well,
anyone
we did not cover it all.
No, but we've covered a lot of topics in 1 hour, and I think good on you if you listen all the way till the end.
So we'll bring this full circle back to where we started with our little statistics. How many miles do you think we are scheduled to sail in 2026 on Falcon? So Falcon sailed 18,000 miles last year. How many miles are we scheduled to sail on Falcon in 2026?
15?
Loading. Hang on. Okay, you said 15,000 miles. We are scheduled to sail Rumline miles, 17,500.
Wow, that's more than I thought.
So, and it's going to end up being probably more than that because
course.
these are just Rumline distances. So that's on Falcon. How about on Eastbjorn?
On Eastbjorn, I forgot what it was in 25. 6,000?
5,300.
And Spica?
Spica?
225.
Let's see. Hang on. Spica. Oh, I have these all. So let's see. Spica, we have 2 trips here to Åland and then a cruising trip. And 200 miles.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It might be
2 really good trips.
Yeah.
I think there's still
new mast and new sails.
There's still one opening, I think, for you this summer.
For the cruising trip, right?
Yeah.
And that's in August.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Mia, next time you're on the podcast, you will either be in the Pacific or you will have done the Pacific crossing. So
you're going to do an interview with me?
I should.
Yeah. How many episodes have you had in now? We're close to 500,
we are
right?
creeping up on 500, yes.
Which is absolutely impressive.
We will hit 500 in the next season. I think this is episode 496 or something
wow.
like that. So the next 10 episodes season of the podcast will be hitting 500.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it is. All right, Mia. This was fun. Time to go to the gym soon.
Yes.
Thanks.
Until next time.
Hold fast. That's it for today's episode. Thanks again for listening to the show. Thanks also to our sponsors, Sail OPO and Rutgerson Marine. Appreciate the support. And until next time, hold fast. On the Wind is the podcast about sailing, created by 59 North and hosted by me, Andy Schell, and August Sandberg. The show is mixed and produced by me and August in Sweden and Norway, respectively. The intro theme music is composed and performed by former podcast guest, sailor, and musician Cameron Dale, while the outro music you're hearing now is, of course, by our friends, the Storm Weather Shanty Choir from Bergen, Norway. We love hearing from our fans, so send your questions and comments to holdfast@59-north.com, and please do us a favor and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to join us on the Quarterdeck as well to nerd out about seamanship. That's quarterdeck.59-north.com. Until next time, hold fast.
Could be. And when me money was all gone on liquor and the horse, I made up me mind that I was inclined to go to sea no more. No more, no more, to go to sea no more. I made up me mind that I was inclined to go to sea no more. As I was walking down the street, I met sweet Angeline. She said, come home with me, me lad, and we'll have a cracking time. But when I awoke, it was no joke. I found I was all alone. My silver watch and my money too, and my whole bloody gear was gone. Was gone, was gone. My whole bloody gear was gone. It was when I awoke, it was no joke, for my whole bloody gear was gone. As I was walking down the street, I met Big Rapper Brown. I asked him if he would take me in, and he looked at me with a frown. He said,
last time you was paid up with me, you took up no score. But I'll take your advance and I'll give you a chance to go to sea once more.
once more, to go to sea once more. I'll take your advance and I'll give you a chance to go to sea once more. Sometimes we're catching whales, me lads, but mostly we get none. With a 20-foot oar in every paw from 5 o'clock in the morn. And when daylight's gone and the night's coming on, we rest upon our oars. And oh boys, you wish that you was dead or snug with the girls ashore. Ashore, ashore, or snug with the girls ashore. Oh boys, you wish that you was dead or snug with the girls ashore. Come all you seafaring lads that listen to me song. When you go a big boating, boys, make sure you do not go wrong. You take my tip when you come off a trip, don't go with any horse. But get married instead and have all night in bed and go to sea no more. No more, no more, to go to sea no more. Get married instead and have all night in bed and go to sea no more. No more, no more. to sea no more. Get married instead and have all night in bed, and go to sea no more.